So on Thursday, the House Select Committee investigating the January 6th insurrection has subpoenaed testimony from Donald Trump. They voted 9-0 to subpoena this testimony. Hearing of the news of the subpoena, Trump, of course, took to Truth Social. He posted, "Why didn't this unselect committee ask me to testify?" Unselect, banger there. Asked me to testify months ago. Why did they wait until the very end, the final moments of their last meeting? Because the committee is a total bust that has only served to further divide our country, which, by the way, is doing very badly. A laughingstock all over the world, question mark? The Unselect Committee is a giant scam presided over by a group of radical left losers. I'm not sure I would call Cheney a member of the radical left, but let's keep going. And 2 failed Republicans, there it is, okay. The likes of which our country has rarely seen before, make America great again. So sources that are close to Donald Trump indicated that he will only comply with the subpoena under specific circumstances.
Of course.
This is Maggie Haberman with the New York Times. Since it became public that the House Select Committee planned to subpoena Trump for his testimony, the former president has been telling aides he favors doing so long as he gets to do so live, according to a person familiar with his discussions. However, it is unclear whether the committee would accept such a demand. Fox News has sources that echoed this as well. They reported, this was a source that told Fox News Digital this, that it is unclear at this point if Trump will actually testify before the committee, but stressed that Trump loves the idea. The source said that if Trump complied with the subpoena and testified, he would talk about how corrupt the election was, how corrupt the committee was, and how Nancy Pelosi did not call up the National Guard, that Trump strongly recommended her to do so 3 days earlier on January 3rd, 2021. We all saw the video of Nancy on the phone yesterday, so that's a little bit wild of him to say. Rick, what do you think? Should they comply with this demand, just let this guy testify live?
No, I think this is a terrible idea. Let's go over this inhumane person's track record. He lies through his teeth. He lies so much that there was a book written by Rick Riley about Trump's golf courses. And basically, Rick Riley painted the picture, and fact checked, of course, because he's a sports journalist, that everything Trump did with his golf courses and the way that he built them up and the PR that he spun, it was all a lie. Everything was a lie. It's like breathing. It's second nature to him. The problem I have is it's rich hearing from Donald Trump, him saying that the Unselect Committee, the Unselect Committee is scammy. Like, dude, you cost taxpayers, at least in the beginning of 2021, middle of 2021. By the Washington Post count, over $500 million. You told people that you were gonna spend this money on your legal defense fund that you got from donations, and you put it in your war chest for then your next reelection campaign. There is no bigger scam artist on the face of the earth, aside from maybe the Tindler swindler, than Donald Trump, okay? Like, this is just what he does. So now to go back to something really quickly, like, do I think it's a good idea? No, because he is going to echo the lie. He's going to talk over people left and right. If they mute his microphone, it's like, see, they're muzzling us. They're muzzling Republicans. No, it's an awful idea. Just follow the procedure, follow the protocol that you guys have put forth already, and just execute the game plan.
Yeah, absolutely. What's crazy is yesterday we heard all kinds of stuff, right? We heard Roger Stone again taking the fifth, but all of the people who testified were aides, people who were close with Trump, people who campaigned for Donald Trump. These are people who were in his corner. So what is he gonna go in front of the committee and say? I mean, my thinking is he would likely try to inspire another insurrection, in which case, why give the guy a live microphone? It's just an awful idea, and they should subpoena him to testify absolutely not live at all. And what does it show? that someone like Roger Stone is taking the fifth. These guys know that what they've done is criminal. Roger Stone is one of the few guys that's facing criminal charges for this. I don't know, do you think he would take the mic and try to incite another insurrection? Like, I think that's probably the biggest concern.
I think any terrible thought that anybody has is within the realm of possibility. That's how I feel about this. Like, you are talking about the central player in feeding so much BS to people over the years, so much bigotry, so much hatred, so much lack of faith in our public institutions. And look, we can critique here and there, but to go after voting machines, and we're seeing the same playbook being run in Brazil with Jair Bolsonaro against Lula. By the way, RIP Michael Brooks, because he is the absolute truth. But like, to see this fear play out and then to see them do what they did, yeah, I would say it's totally within the realm of possibility. But I don't think any of this is going to happen. I think he's playing the strongman argument of like, I'm gonna do it, but under this one stipulation, which they haven't done yet. So why would they make an exception for him, that guy? But what is likely to happen is Democrats are gonna lose in the midterms. I mean, it's up for debate, but let's just say hypothetically they lose, because that's usually how it goes. They lose in the midterms. The unselect committee is no more. And then Trump could say, see, I wanted to do it. I wanted to do it. That's probably what's gonna play out.
What's crazy is we have information that was presented. This was the little bit of new evidence we got yesterday, along with some new videos, Nancy Pelosi on the phone, which I think we'll get to. But all of the evidence that showed the Secret Service was well aware of what was going down. The FBI was tipped off. Donald Trump knew what was going to happen. And the Secret Service didn't even turn over all of their text messages. They were like, you know what, we do routine deletes, that's not all there. It's just, part of what we do, we just get rid of messages. There's a million emails missing that the Secret Service had. And Donald Trump is trying to say, I told Nancy Pelosi to call the National Guard. You were the sitting president. Nancy Pelosi's the Speaker of the House. She was on the phone like, I don't even know whose jurisdiction this would be, calling the mayor, calling people in neighboring states, the governor of Virginia. She was not in a position to call the National Guard into DC. Donald Trump was. If you wanted the National Guard there, you would have called them. But the Nancy Pelosi phone call, my favorite part, is when she says, you know what, I want to punch him in the face and I'd go to jail and I would be happy. That was the best line from Nancy Pelosi I think we'll ever get out of her.
My favorite part was seeing Republican leadership lie once again. When they said in front of the media, in front of everybody, hey, it was Nancy Pelosi's fault that they didn't call the National Guard. And why did she delay the National Guard? When in video, Kevin McCarthy and Steve Scalise were right next to her. They were right next to her. And she was saving their ass, is what she was doing. But they continue to lie about it, and they continue to lie about it. So I truly don't believe anything is going to happen. I think this is a headline and pretty much nothing more.
Yeah, the other thing about this, and the last thing I'll say on this subject, is that Donald Trump was saying that, you press one button, it's supposed to go and cast a ballot for Trump, and then it cast the ballot for Biden. The voting machines were all messed up. 6,000 votes are missing in Michigan. And we saw evidence in the January 6th committee, and people that were filing these lawsuits for Donald Trump say that of the 62 filed, they lost 61. And moreover, the evidence that people told Donald Trump they had wasn't in the lawsuit because it wasn't there. So a lot of people were not tuned in to hear them go over that evidence, but I'm sure there are a lot of people that would tune in to Donald Trump testifying, and they wouldn't get that side of the story, which I think is just another reason not to go live with it. Any last thoughts on this one, Rick, before we move on?
Yeah, here's my last thought. A subpoena in this day and age means absolutely nothing. You know how I know? As a football fan, all right? Dan Snyder is involved, whether he wants to believe it or not, in a few investigations by the House Oversight Committee. What he did was he got on his mega yacht and went off the coast of a different country to avoid it. And last night I am watching the Bears, I'm just gonna say Washington football team because it sounds way better than the nickname they have. And he's there. He's just chilling at the game in a box. He was subpoenaed like 3.5 months ago. So seeing the ultra wealthy avoid subpoenas also ticks me off to none other.
Yeah, absolutely. I love the elements of sports journalism we're getting here. Like sports journalists actually fact check stories, which they're maybe held to a higher standard than some other journalists.